Hey guys, welcome back to our Real Love Scenario. Shout out to all our real lovers out there.
Hi guys.
Hey guys.
Sending you big love if you're watching on YouTube.
We love you. We are back at our happy place.
Yes, we are.
Recording this show.
Yes.
With one another.
Yes. Look at that. We keep doing that. We must love it here.
Y'all lucky we are here today. Y'all knew what happened.
Ooh, Lord
the night
Jesus.
before.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded weird. We went out separately.
What the guy say? Pause?
Yeah.
Pause.
We went out separately. She had a girl's night. I had a guy's night. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to be responsible, telling our friends, hey, we got something to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
But friends don't care.
They don't. They're like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. Like Maya said to me, just get up early. No, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I'm going to sleep at 3. So I'm technically going to bed early.
Yeah.
This is a bad combination. But you know what?
This is transitioning from sleep to a nap.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. That alarm went off this morning. I was like, I feel like I just laid down. Like I feel like I just got in the bed. Like, what do you mean?
Oh man.
Ooh, God. If you follow me
here.
on Instagram, you heard me say the girl don't pop back like she used to. I just don't, y'all. So
ain't nothing wrong with that.
it's not. I'm okay with having a longer recovery time.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't party or go out like that anymore.
Yeah.
So they're very few and far between.
For sure.
Yes.
Well, with that being said, I did have a great time last night, and I ran into a lot of real lovers when I was out who appreciate the show, appreciate the podcast. I'm super sorry because I didn't remember everybody's name or even hear it clearly, because sometimes when you're out, speakers going and somebody comes up to you, you're like, what's your name? And it's like hard to hear, but I did hug everyone and told them thank you, and I appreciate them.
Nice.
Special shout out to Taylor too, who took care of me and my cousin last night. She is the manager at the place that we were at, and she showed love, so I appreciate her.
Yes, we also have to protect her because we got a big following here. We don't want y'all to wear Taylor out. Okay, so thank you to Taylor, but we're not gonna say where she is.
Yeah, we're not gonna tell y'all where she's at, but she took care of us. She took care of us, so I appreciate that. So love you all, real lovers.
Y'all.
Always come up in
so
person.
Good?
It do.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
And they're so sweet.
Yes.
So I want to read our review for this week.
Mm-hmm.
This is from, I'm gonna let you pronounce the name.
Let's see. Oh, Neil Solange Sumbe. Maybe. I'm gonna go with that. Neil Solange Sumbe.
Okay.
Bam.
There we go.
I know Solange for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
work with that. Says amazing and real as the title. Absolutely love y'all podcast. I do have my own scenario, but it seems like I'm going through a lot of things that people write about. I listen to y'all on Apple Podcasts, and every time I listen to an episode, I have this urge to call y'all and pitch it, and then I remember it's not a radio station. LOL. But thank y'all for the realness, the love, and the rawness when it comes to relationships and human interactions. Love you guys and keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's so cool.
Write in your scenario, man. We got you.
Cut that out.
Yeah.
Cut that out. And we have, in a year that we've been doing this, we have had similar scenarios.
Yeah.
Everybody's can be sometimes pretty unique or have a unique spin on it. Mm-hmm. So if it has that, we literally read every single one, and it is a lot of them come in, and we're not obviously able to do them all.
Yes.
But we try to do things that are seemingly impacting lots of people. So just write in. You never, ever know. You never, ever, ever know. Dre, I have to share an update.
Okay. Oh, update.
Because we got an update. And I always ask for updates, and I feel like nobody ever gives us an update.
I need to get like a sound for that. Let me see. Real lover update.
Ooh.
You didn't know I had that in me, did you?
Do it. You sound like a transformer. That was good. That was really good. Okay, sorry. All right. So if you watched, I believe it was episode 53.
Okay.
Where she wrote in about, she kind of lost her boyfriend because she made a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
It was our last episode.
Her man was ill. He had a death in the family.
Yes.
He had, yes.
Yes. And she was working on herself, and she wanted him back, but she didn't know if she was going to be able to get him back.
Yes.
She gave us an update.
Oh,
I'm going to read it.
shucks.
So she says, Rhonda, you guys did my real love scenario this week, and I'm not going to lie to you. I was sitting here uncomfortable AF. I appreciate you so much, and I have spent this time reflecting. I did get my man back, by the way, LOL.
Okay.
But things are moving slow, and I appreciate you showing me the tough love I needed to see I was selfish. I actually recently deleted Instagram because I felt like so much of the stuff in my head came from bad relationship advice on this app. So, real love scenario, please keep doing God's work, speaking from your hearts and encouraging people to live out of love. In my search for my own inner peace, I found a quote in a book that I love. We sense love, but we don't believe in it. We save our faith for fear. All of your advice is rooted in love, and that's what the people need. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, girl.
That is,
I saw this. I was like, screenshot. Dre, look,
This
we got
is-
an update.
that's awesome. Well, one thing that I'll say with that is that one thing a coach always told me when I was playing football is that change is inevitable and uncomfortable. So just because it's uncomfortable, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
That's
that means
right.
that you're going through a transition,
For sure.
something new.
Yeah.
It shouldn't feel comfortable. So I'm excited to hear that you took the advice, you
Yeah.
are growing, and it
Yeah.
impacted your life in some
Yes.
way. It gave you
Yes.
perspective. I'm super happy
And
to
I'm
hear
glad
that.
you got your man back and that y'all are taking your time, because I do think sometimes a reset is a great thing. So congratulations on that, and thank you for the love.
Thank you so much.
That was so good. Lots of warm and fuzzies to start this episode off. I love
Love our real lovers.
it. Yeah. So are we jumping into the real life?
Yeah, we're going to jump into the real life love scenario. I just want to tell people that we're getting close. We're about to have some guests on here. We're about to have some new things that's going to really make this show fun. We're going to be able to have you guys participate. Just follow the page. Just be on the lookout, because when we announce all this stuff, it's going to be so much fun. And we
Yeah.
can't wait to announce and present these new elements of the show.
Yes.
Like, it's going to be so fun.
sure.
Yeah, it's just going to be exciting.
It's exciting. We've
Yes.
been having meetings and stuff, y'all, in dark offices, working on things for you all.
Working on things. All right. So our real life love scenario. So as we know, or as you guys have probably heard, there was a popular clip on a podcast that came out, or I wouldn't even say it's a podcast. It seemed like more of just like if you watch the whole interview, it's almost like a special.
Yeah.
Almost. It's
Yeah.
like different B-roll clips and different elements of it with Gabrielle Union. And basically she talks about how Dwayne Wade and her split bills 50-50 in their household. And also, to piggyback on that, a popular story that just came out was Beyonce and JayZ buying the most expensive house in California to date at $200 million.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a great conversation to open up the floor for Rhonda, because Rhonda could do a whole episode on this. Not even a whole episode. Don't you know when you go to church and pastor's like, for this month's series, we're going to talk about this. So
Yeah.
this Sunday we talking about this, the next Sunday, but it's all a series.
It's a series.
Rhonda could do a series on this.
I could do a series on it, and oh god, I can do a series on it just because I will give the short and sweet, and then maybe expound a little bit. The short and sweet is something we talk about on this podcast so much, and that is you have to create a partnership that works for you too, right? It has to work for the two people inside of
For
it.
sure.
And we have to be sensitive to the fact that every relationship or partnership is not made the same.
Yep.
Everybody runs their households differently, and there are not a lot of rules necessarily to what works for two individuals. So at a baseline, no matter how you manage your household, as long as you both are in agreement to it, then it's nothing wrong with it.
Yes.
So that's just thing number one. Get that out the way. It don't matter if we talking splitting bills. It doesn't matter if we talking the stay-at-home dad versus
sure.
the stay-at-home mom. Whatever works
You
for your
guys
family.
choose to do.
I'm into it.
Yes.
But the 50-50 split on bills conversation really makes me upset.
Oh, I know y'all wondering right now, which way is she going with this?
It's probably not the way that y'all.
It's probably not the way that
not
they
the way
think.
that y'all think. No, I do not think it's anything wrong with a woman splitting bills with her man. I don't even think that that makes them roommates, which I find that that's a common response to people. Like, I don't want no roommate. If I'm splitting bills, we're not in a relationship. You're my roommate, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's more stuff that quantifies a person being a roommate. One of the biggest ones is that they sleep in a different room and that you don't have any romantic connection to them.
Yep.
They're called a roommate for a reason, and a spouse, husband or wife, is called a spouse for a reason. Yes, these two people share housing, but you share it very differently. So just by design, splitting bills is not indicative of we're roommates.
Yeah.
If people are splitting bills, it's to me one of two things. One is if a woman is insistent upon splitting bills in her household where she does not necessarily have to, and by that I mean her husband says, babe, I can and I would like to pay all the bills, but she pushes back and says, I appreciate that, but I want to contribute 50% to this household.
Yeah.
Who is he to say no to that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if that is what's going to make your wife comfortable, if that is what's going to make her happy, if that is what's going to make her feel like she is financially contributing to the life that you all have together, what is the problem? Like when you're married, you become one in lots of ways.
For sure.
Especially financially, even with a prenup, because anything that you earn together and attain together under marriage is yours together. It's not mine and his, it's ours. So if we buy a house together and both of our names are on that, it's ours.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you put up most of the money or we split the money or you put up all of the money, it's still ours. So who is he to say no? So that's that. And then on the other side of it, if she wants to contribute 20%, no percent, again, whatever they decide to me is what they decide. And I just don't think it's that crazy. Again, these average Americans, AKA us, no shade to anybody, but the vast majority of us, if we get in partnership, we are going to share finances.
Yeah.
We're going to share income.
For sure.
This is where you get double income household statistics from, because usually the vast majority of both parties in the household have jobs and they bring in income, and that income is necessary to take care of the household. So for those of you to keep saying you can't do 50-50 or you won't do 50-50, you might want to just go ahead and let that thought go, because 9 times out of 10, you will have to share the finances in your household. For period. Sure. You just will. So that's my soapbox.
No,
about
I love
it.
that. I love that. I love that. And Rhonda hit every point perfectly. You know, there is a philosopher who we may not want to quote too much from a relationship standpoint at this day and age.
Okay. Is he a real philosopher?
But his name is Neo.
Here I go. I knew this was going somewhere. Philosopher Neo. Yeah, we may not, but go ahead. Let me hear what you're saying.
But back in the day in 2007, he said some words that was like, that I think apply to this situation.
Okay.
He said,
you better
I'm a movement by myself.
Oh.
But I'm a force when we're together. Mama, I'm good all by myself. But baby, what do? You make me better.
You make me better.
I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're come together.
When we come together.
We come together. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Neo said some words right there, and that's basically what Rhonda's saying is like you trying to do all this. The one person gotta provide, and I ain't gonna contribute to this because that man, I ain't my roommate. You cool? I mean, by yourself, that's cool. But like when we come together, we can do a lot more. Like you said earlier, it didn't say JayZ bought Beyonce the house.
Nope.
Didn't say Beyonce bought JayZ the house.
Nope.
Said JayZ and Beyonce bought the house.
Bought the house. That's correct. Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing to keep in mind right there.
Just it's real simple and plain.
Shout out to Neo right there.
Shout out to Neo. Shout out to Beyonce and JayZ, and shout out to the Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade.
Exactly.
Because she just strikes me as the type of woman, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way at all, that wants that type of equity in her relationship.
Yeah, and I think that like if you listen to what she said they split the household, right? Mm-hmm. And what does that even mean what does that even mean? Mm-hmm. I think that it probably means that maybe a mortgage or something like that, you probably split, maybe utilities and things like that. Mm-hmm. But they are a couple who came together at a later age when they were already established in their careers.
Yep.
So
both divorced.
Both divorced.
Yep.
so they had a way that they were doing it before. They kind of understand how they want to do things now. And I'm sure that she probably had her own car in her name. She probably had her own cell phone in her name. She probably had all these different things
Credit
in her
cards.
name that she was already paying on, on her own. So the only thing when she's saying as a household they split 50-50 is probably just the mortgage. All those other things she was probably paying on her own anyways.
Yeah.
And I just think it would be foolish to not get something that you want because you refuse to put
Contribute.
up 50% or contribute to it. It's like, I would want this house, but if I can't find a man that can do that on his own for me, then I don't want to date that man or be with that man. It's
Although
like,
I work.
Although I work. And if I
earn
did
income.
contribute, it could get us to where we want.
Correct.
That doesn't make any sense. Like for Brie and I, the way that we go about it is that it's just like a pool. Whatever you make in a month, whatever I make in a month, it doesn't matter who makes what. We put it in a pool. If you make 5,000 and I make 10, the pool is 15. That's what we made.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out how we gonna split this 15 up. It ain't your 15, my 5, your 10.
Yeah.
None of that matters. We're married. We have the same goals. We are going to be living in the house that we buy. It's not my house and your house that we're going to have separate places. Everything that we do affects one another.
Yep.
So everything we make will go in this pool and we'll divvy it up, from that.
And that's how I think theirs is. And that's how I think so many people that are married, they're like that.
I think people read too much into this because I think that they think, like when you hear 50-50, it's almost as if if the person can't come up with their 50, the other person's going to be like, whoa. You think if Gabrielle couldn't come up with her 50 that month, that Dwayne Wade would just be like,
we gonna be late then.
What's going on with you? Like, no, that's his wife.
It's his wife.
Like,
what are we talking about?
And I think that also I can't speak. When Brie and I met, we just established that because of our circumstances, right? We started a business together, so all of our income was together.
Yeah.
But I can't speak for how I would enter into a financial situation in a relationship if I was already a millionaire and already established and then met another millionaire or something like that. It's like we kind of got our own things going. I might got my own portfolio. Like just trying to mix everything doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We agree that, we'll both put in for this home and stuff, but everything else outside of that with our different flows of income, it's just simpler, easier. And she doesn't seem to have an issue with it or a problem with it. No. I think the thing that people should be taking away from this is nothing about the 50-50.
Nothing.
It's about that no matter how much money you make, the thing that determines, how financially well you are or how financially well you do is your expenses.
That's right.
Like she was talking about like how she's still hustling and grinding to take care of this and take care of that. And people are like, I saw comments, people are like, how are you, make all this money and you sound like you struggling or you grinding and stuff like that. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, it don't matter how much money you make.
No.
Shaq talked about how he made his first 10 million and spent it all, like all of it.
Yeah.
All his 10 million. And you like, what? How you spend $10 million?
He can show you.
You will find things.
I could spend $10 million. Yeah.
And it's all just percentages. Like a lot of these people have the same things that you have in life. It's just at a
higher level,
right? So let's say you make $5,000 a month. Your car note may be $500 or $600. If they make $50,000 a month, their car note may be $2,500.
Yes.
They got a car like you got a car, but while you driving a Corolla, they might have a Lambo truck.
Yeah.
Like these expenses still add up.
Yep. Or they bought the car outright because they could just buy it cash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You live in a place. They live in a place. It's just their mortgage may be $15,000, while yours is $3,500.
Yep.
It's easy to spend the money.
For sure.
If you got the money, you elevate your lifestyle and your elevated lifestyle costs.
Yeah.
Like I remember even Brie and I'll get off of this after this because it's not the point, but financial conversations.
It's a great conversation.
Yeah. Like I remember when Brie and I, like we were happy in business when we made our first 5,000 and that was like a lot. Like, we made $5,000 in entrepreneurship. And I remember making our first 10, 15, first 20, first 30, first 40 in a month. And it's like, wow. But then you start to look back and you like, I don't feel like I made that much money. Like, where did this money go? Because you realize as you started making more money, you started elevating your lifestyle.
That's right.
Things started to become, you started to get into a bigger place. You buy a more expensive car. You go have more experiences.
Expensive trips.
You have more experiences, and then you get used to that. So to maintain that, you're like, I got to make X amount
have
of
another $40,000
I got to have another $40,000 a month. And it's like, now dinners are $200 a piece and different. So it's like, okay. And you just have to understand that it's not necessarily about how much you make. It's about what you're spending things on. So I just want people to keep that in mind, because that was the biggest takeaway from me, is that, dang, even somebody with that much money, it's, if you have so many different things, expenses and stuff that you're taking care of, it can be a burden on you, and you can feel the same pressure as somebody who makes $50,000 a year and is trying to make it.
For sure. And she talked about the fact that a lot of that comes from they take care of people in their family, which a lot of wealthy people, because it's they're the first of their family to have that amount of wealth, they feel obligated to buy so-and-so a house or pay mom's expenses. Would you not retire your parents and make sure that they never work and have everything that they want month over month? If you had $100 million, of course you would maintain that. So they both have that separately and collectively. So of course they have to work. I think a part of what she was talking about is that even though sometimes I may not have to work as hard as I think I have to work, it's no way that I could just not work and keep up this lifestyle. So you hitting the nail on the head. I just hate that people get so down to the finite details of 50-50 when healthy partnerships are partnerships, okay? Nobody thinks anything crazy about these types of splits when we talk about business.
Nope.
If you enter into a business partnership, one of the primary things that you need to discuss is that split and who's responsible for what. Relationships are the same way. Like it is a partnership, and you two have to come up with what makes sense for your partnership. Rooting or assigning financials to a person's masculinity or femininity, to me, is just foolish. To say that you're less masculine if you don't pay all the bills, or you're less feminine if you contribute to 50% of them, it's just like, what?
Yeah,
y'all turn everything into masculinity and femininity, and I'm just like, golly.
That's a whole nother conversation that we need to do an episode on at some point, because I think one of the issues or one of the problems with dating today is that we have not adjusted as a society just in whole to this evolution of women now working and being successful and what that looks like for a relationship structure.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, it was always easy. For the beginning of time, it's like you find a man who's successful, the man works, the woman takes care of things at home. Yeah. And that was always the societal structure. Even if it was more of arranged marriage or anything like that, that was always the relationship structure. But now things are changing. Yeah. And we need to adjust to that, but I don't think we quite know how to adjust to that. Like, what does that look like? What does it look like for maybe a woman to out earn her man, but the man still has his masculinity in that relationship? I don't think people know yet how to digest that or think that through or be okay with that. It's like, that's not how it's supposed to be, even though this is what we've been fighting for, equality, for so long. And to have this level of freedom and ability to make this and make that, but also on the flip side, you know, you should still make more and things should be like how they have always been before. So it's like, it's hard to find that balance. And I think that's the struggle of relationships now, is people don't really know how to find that balance. The
conditioning is thick, it's heavy, and we do need to walk it back a bit. And like you said, maybe dedicate an episode to really talking through that, because it's worth the conversation. It really, really is, because every time that comes up, no matter who's saying it, this time it's Gabrielle Union, it catches so much fire. It goes viral. It goes back to the whole bus driver conversation from a few weeks ago. It's rooted in this financial, like I said, assigning of, well, that's feminine, that's masculine. You're not really a man. You too much of a aggressive woman. It's like I saw somebody jokingly say, well, if Gabrielle Union doesn't contribute to her household financially, what's she doing with her money? If she don't want to give it to her household and share it with her husband and the life that they've built, what is she supposed to spend the money on?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Like what else is it supposed to go? And that's the thing I don't understand is that I know some couples do things, and to me is a weird way to where the husband could have money but the wife don't, and they gotta ask for money, and it's
Right.
just like I don't get that.
I
For
don't
me,
either.
it's like if
Are we together or not?
we got money, this is the money that we have. My wife may say like, "Oh, can I get this card or something like that because I have that card on me," or something like that. But
Yeah.
never it's like you need permission or like you're asking to borrow money and you got to pay me back. No, it's yours just as much as mine.
Yes, because we agreed to that arrangement,
Yeah.
right? At least that's what you should have done.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Oh goodness.
Oh, so many things.
Shout out to the Wades and the Carters.
Yeah, come on to the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on to the show.
Both of y'all. Both of y'all. All right. Well, let's jump into our real love scenario this week. It is from Veronica. She says, "Hi, Rhonda and Dre. Greetings all the way from Europe, specifically the Netherlands. I love your podcast. I'm tuning in every week and just love to listen to you two. You already helped me a lot with self-development, which I want to say thank you for your work here." You're welcome.
Hold on. We got fans in Europe, y'all. We got real lovers in Europe, the Netherlands.
Hey.
Shout out to all our people who are outside the U.S., our international folks. Like, show us some love. Leave something in the comments. Let us know where you're from.
For
that's
sure.
dope.
That is so incredible. I'm reaching out to you guys because of a recent situation. I've been in a relationship with my current partner since February. We started to see each other in August 2022, and at that time, we were just messing around and didn't know that we were going to fall in love. Because we were just sleeping with each other, we expressed we are both free to do whatever with whoever, and he was honest about sleeping with another girl regularly. With this in mind, we agreed to have safe sex with each other and anyone else. Things went pretty fast with us, but I refrained from putting any pressure on exclusivity because I was badly hurt in my previous relationship as my partner was cheating on me. It was a dramatic breakup and I was heartbroken. So I was okay with taking my time and making sure that if my boo wanted to be serious, I had to see and feel that over time. After 1 month of sleeping together, he cut off the other girl, saying he wasn't feeling it and was enjoying his time with me much more. I was happy to hear this. The following month, he started to ask if I would consider having unprotected sex with him because we were getting so close. I agreed, so we got tested together, and from there, we stopped using protection. As we continued to date, he started to show me more public displays of affection, and I felt like he was serious. So naturally, by February, when he asked if we could be official, I said yes. I honestly felt like we already were since we agreed to have unprotected sex. Last week, he decided to admit that he had random sex with some girl that visited him in between the time we agreed to have unprotected sex to the time we agreed to date exclusively. He said he didn't see us as serious yet and had no need to say anything to me, but I feel hurt because I trusted him. Had he told me this when it happened, I would have stopped seeing him because I don't think this was appropriate. Now I cannot trust him, and I feel he manipulated me throughout this process. I love him, and I'm struggling because I thought that we were honest from the beginning, but clearly only I was. I have so much anxiety about this, and I'm fearful that he will be selfish and hide things if we continue on. Help me, guys. Am I overreacting? Thank you for writing in, Veronica from the Netherlands.
From the Netherlands. Where you want to start, Rhonda?
Oh man, so many interesting little parts here. I think I want to kind of start at the top of their relationship because it sounds like it started as friends with benefits or just like F buddies. Like we're messing around, we're hooking up, nothing too serious.
Yeah.
But then they transitioned over a couple of months. So I guess I want to know, do you think that that's a healthy way to transition into a relationship? Like starting out as just friends with benefits and then morphing it into something more serious?
I have never done that with anybody, like friends with benefits, and then it morphed into a relationship, mainly because if we're friends with benefits, it's because I did not want a relationship with you. So I personally don't have any experience with that, it being successful with myself. Can it happen? Sure. Yeah, probably, right? There's probably some people who have that story. I'm just always worried about what the foundation of the relationship is built on. And it sounds like when you start with something like this, like Friends with Benefit, it's built on this purely physical, carnal, lustful relationship. And it's hard for a relationship to stand if that's going to be the foundation of that relationship. So I wouldn't recommend it as that's how you should transition into a relationship or the way to get into a relationship with somebody. But I have seen people who do it successfully. Yeah. And I think it just takes time. I think that, you know, over time, there is a maturity that happens sometimes with people to where they start to understand what they want. And I honestly, when it comes to these relationships, what ends up making it work has nothing to do most of the time with the sex. It's about how the person makes them feel when they're with them, how they treat them, how they talk to them, how they act around them, how they show love to them. Those are normally the things that make it transition from F buddies to an actual relationship. Yeah. You would think that, oh, it's purely sex. This person just likes sex with this person better than everybody else. But it's like, nah, they actually like, you know, the treatment from that person better than everybody else.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I do know people who have successfully gone from like, you know, friends with benefits into a relationship and it worked out. Some people that like hooked up with someone at one time and then came back later, years later, and they just were in two different places at that time, like at the same time. So they could then revisit the relationship with better intentionality. I'm with you. I wouldn't recommend converting it, but I think it just depends on the people inside of the situation. Like you said, if you realize that like I really like the way that this person makes me feel, the sex is kind of the cherry on top. We already know we have sexual chemistry.
Well, question for you. Do you think F buddies and friends with benefits are the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
because I think that
I get why you know what I'm saying. Like that, though. Yes.
I've seen people who are actually friends, like they're friends, but they have sex, but they're actually like friends with each other.
Where F buddies, you could just be like, yo,
like what's up?
Come
like what
over.
It's 1 o'clock.
We not friends.
We not friends.
I just sleep with you sometimes.
Yeah, that. So it's like I feel like those are two different things.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yes. They're like they're adjacent.
Yeah.
Yes, they're adjacent.
Yeah, it's like.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
So I feel like that's a little bit different. Like I feel like I've had a lot of F buddies. I don't know if I've had
friends with benefits, like
actual friends that I was having sex with, but they were my friends.
That's true. Actually, now that I really think about it, I do think they're different. I do think they're slightly different.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest with you, I feel like the F buddy could transition better than the friend with benefits. I do, because the F buddy, like literally all you have determined is that you like sexual chemistry. Like you have sexual chemistry. You really may not know a lot about the person. You don't talk on the phone with them other than when you're setting up the sex. So if you were to say, you know what, let's just like start to get to know each other. Like let's do that. Let's see if that's a thing. I think that could potentially be more successful than the friends with benefits thing, because sometimes when you're friends with somebody that you also sleep with, you learn
a lot about them.
Yeah. You be like, now you start to take that, right?
Yeah.
Now you're like replaying for them 2 years that y'all were friends. Now this is like your man, and you like, I remember when we were just homies and he used to say that when he was with, you know what I mean? I think sometimes you become overexposed because you were just their homie that you slept with sometimes. So I don't know, but that was good. You really made me think on that.
I feel like there's a different, like there's probably like 3 categories. You have like F buddies, which is like the random like booty call type thing. You have friends with benefits where this is actually my friend, but we do have sex as well. And then I think you have, I'm interested in this person and pursuing something, but we have a lot of sex in the beginning of this relationship. It's not truly commitment yet, but because I've seen those situations to where people end up married, but in the beginning of the relationship, they just had a lot of sex.
Yep.
Even before they were like boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yes.
And then it transitioned to that. And then some people even end up getting married. So yeah.
I've seen it online several times. Like I had sex with him on the first night, didn't plan on seeing him anymore. Boom, now that's my husband. I've certainly seen it many times. I thought it was interesting and almost refreshing to some degree that one, there was so much honesty when they started out. Like, we both are really clear about what
Very
we're
adult.
doing. Yeah, like, you can do what you want, I could do what I want, but they did make a commitment for the purpose of sex safety.
Yeah.
That, hey, we're going to use condoms, and if we are sleeping with other people, we're going to use condoms with them too. Which I thought that was great. And I love the fact that when they were ready to stop using protection, that was then also a conversation, and that they went and got tested together so that they both felt safe to take the condom off. It's like, I got your results, you got my results. Now we can kind of enter into this without the heaviness of, do you have something because you've been sleeping with other people? So I thought I got to give you both credit for that, because I think that is something that you just don't hear about all that often. Like, people really don't transition into unprotected sex that way. In fact, some people never have to transition because it was unprotected from the beginning.
Let me tell you something.
Oh shit! I mean,
what are you okay, Rod?
Let me tell you something. After I said that, I'm like, well, what's the go ahead.
I don't know what she think I'm about to say, but I wanted to commend Veronica.
Okay.
Because a lot of us out here, it's Russian roulette.
Every time. Yep. You holding the gun to your head like, oh God, I hope they ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take a dive.
And you do your best evaluation that you possibly can.
Tell me what the evaluation entails, Dre.
So first you get to know somebody, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, you feel like you gain a level of trust. Enough to where it wouldn't be like, they don't know me, so even if they knowingly had something, because there are people who knowingly have stuff and do stuff with people because they don't really care, right?
Correct.
Like, you could meet somebody random on a cruise, they don't know you, they ain't gonna never see you again, they might mess with you, got something, and then they on about their life. You never see them again, they don't care about you. So you try to develop a level of trust. This is not a guide that I would suggest.
Yes, this is bad. Y'all remember good advice or bad advice that works? This is bad advice that works, but don't take it.
Don't take it.
Don't take it.
You try to get a level of trust to where somebody wouldn't knowingly do this to you. And a lot of times that's the best you can possibly do at that point. Is you just play that game and see. And
like, I mean, if I do get something, she ain't know.
Yeah.
She ain't mean it.
She ain't mean to do it. And I lived that life. I have. I've lived that life.
Yeah. I've lived that life too.
For a few.
The difference between me and you though is I never like made an assessment. Like, he probably don't.
No, I mean,
based on what we've been talking about,
No, I'm just saying is that you typically would probably only have relations with somebody that you feel comfortable with doing it with. Like, there are times you make an evaluation. I feel like everybody does to a certain extent, because you've had unprotected sex and you have protected sex.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a guy's decision, but maybe sometimes it was your decision.
Yeah.
And as a man, when I was single, sometimes I would have unprotected sex. Most of the time for my adult life, I did, because I didn't have sex with a whole bunch of people. I had sex with people that I trusted. But there were times to where it was somebody who I feel like I didn't really know that well, to where I did protect myself. And by the grace of God, I'm STD and kid free going into my marriage. So the bullet never was in the chamber.
It was never in the chamber
when I was pulling the trigger. So I'm blessed in that scenario. But that's why I never judge people who do have STDs or unplanned pregnancies or anything like that, because it's like, yeah, it could have been me. At any point.
Could have been a lot of it. I mean, honestly, that is what is populating the earth. Okay. these whoops. Damn. Well, here we are. We just go ahead on and have this baby. So I like you said, you're commending her. I agree. I think that was cool. But I think this is where we start to have a little bit of a weird interpretation of what unprotected sex between two people actually means. So do you think that unprotected sex is a sign of exclusivity? Two-part question. Okay. So that's part one. Part two is, and if you do think that that's a sign of exclusivity, is it only when it transitions from it was protected and then it becomes unprotected? Do you think the transition is what determines exclusivity?
I think so. From a general term, no. Does unprotected sex mean exclusivity? No, from a general perspective. Yes, but every relationship is different. And I think in this story, it seems like Veronica was moving with a certain level of intentionality, especially around sex. She probably has communicated multiple times how she doesn't feel comfortable with unprotected sex, you know, especially if it's not somebody that she's exclusively with.
Right.
So in her mind, she's thinking, I've communicated, I know that you're sleeping with this other girl, so we're not having unprotected sex. The only way I will do that is if you are with me. So now you ask me, can we have unprotected sex? You tell me that you're over this past girl. You say, yes, I want to have unprotected sex. I say, yes, I want to have unprotected sex. And we go get tested together. This is showing you how serious I am taking this action. And I feel like as the guy, you would know, like, you have to know that that means a lot to her. And if she's agreeing to do this, she's thinking it's just because you and her are going to physically be together, and that is it. So I do understand her frustration or anger that he was with somebody else during that period, because I feel like through the whole time she has been super clear on what that means to her.
Yes. I agree with you. However, I cannot stress the importance of sometimes communication has to become remedial. And we, especially women, especially the women that I know, let me preface it that way. Sometimes we assume that what we are feeling is also what they are feeling because of all of these actions. I really agree with you on the part of, if she was being super serious about, we need to have safe sex, I'm not going to not have safe sex unless I know that you're only sleeping with me. That needs to be ultra clarified, because just because somebody is only having sex with you does not mean that they are in a relationship with you. Some people want exclusivity around sexual experiences, but they still participate in actually dating other people, talking to other people, entertaining other people. So that's what I mean. There's like this little teeny, and I'm not getting on her because I get her frustrations too, but there's this little teeny space of remedial communication that was missed in this scenario. And it was, once you started having unprotected sex, it was only a couple of months after you were having protected sex, but you didn't then consider your relationship official for another couple of months. So
you even acknowledged that.
So even you are saying there was kind of this, I don't know, gray area. It feels like gray area where we're only having sex with each other and we're getting closer, but we're still not officially a couple. And so in that time, I think where he messed up is that, he
told her.
No. Well, that part too. You know, we're not saying that y'all need to be liars, but goddamn, sometimes just shut the up. Shut up.
If it's over, if it was a one time, it just happened. Like,
what's going on? Did you go see the priest? You go to the church and tell the priest what you did. Okay, cleanse your spirit with him and the Lord. Leave Veronica out of it, but here we are. Veronica, you know
now. That's where we are.
Goddamn. But no, it's like there was not clarity on. I mean, I think where he messed up is that he didn't just entertain that person that he ran into. You had sex with her.
Yes.
And that is the problem, because if someone is getting tested with you, they expect that you're not having sex with anybody else. There's no other thing to deduce from that.
Yeah, it's kind of wiping the slate clean to understand where we're at.
Yes.
Because moving forward, nothing should happen.
That's
because
right.
It's just you and me.
It's just you and me.
One thing I want to tell you, Veronica, and I know that your bubble is kind of already burst with this situation, but it sounds like your man, not saying he's a bad man or anything at all, but it sounds like he likes to have sex without a condom. So it's very, very, very possible that even when y'all had the two arrangement thing with the girl, that he was having unprotected sex with her.
Flat out. flat out. And it's also possible that he just really, really wanted to have unprotected sex with you.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't because he was feeling you much more.
Yeah. It's just like, that's his preferred method.
I will stand on a mountaintop. I know that safe sex is appropriate. When I do have sex, I have safe sex.
Yeah.
But they ain't no sex like raw sex. There is no greater feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a better flow into
It's
things.
just-
You ain't got to be like, hold on.
Let me take the condom off.
Yeah,
Let me put it back on. It's just too much.
Yeah,
It's
it's
extra
just-
steps that nobody want to deal with.
No, not at all.
So it makes sense. I'm not saying he was manipulative, but I just think he was eager to see what you felt like without a condom on.
Yeah.
And that's why he moved the situation into that direction.
And I think, and I mean, I'm happy that you had standards and you stood on those. Like a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
So I think that that's amazing. And I do think that he knew exactly what he was doing. I think he knew that how much that meant to you. I think he knew that you were expecting a certain level of exclusivity in that relationship when you made that decision because of how much intentionality you put behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that he fell to temptation, or not even that. You said the girl came and visited him.
She just was from out of town.
She said she came and visited him though.
Yeah. Yep.
So I mean,
there was intention.
Yeah, it was intention.
Nobody falls into sex.
No.
So let's clear that up.
He knew what he was doing.
Yes.
But it sounds like, I mean, if he says that he wants to be with you and he's the one that made it official, sometimes people have to experience things and be like, this wasn't worth it. Like I tried it, but I really liked it. Like this, sometimes a situation like that, like a sex situation where you do something outside of your situation, it makes you even more confirmed that the person that you're with is the right person because you do all that. You maybe had this fantasy of what this thing might be with this person who came in town. You always wanted to do it, and then you do it and you're like, this wasn't fulfilling at all. It did nothing for me.
Yeah.
I miss so-and-so. And that might have been the catalyst, honestly, for him being like, yeah, it's time to lock this joint up. Like, because I'm done with this. It's good. It's good. Like,
I'm good.
I'm finished.
Yeah.
So that could be a thing. If my thought is right in that, I don't know why he told you. I understand.
For sure, we confused.
I understand that y'all had a completely open relationship. I would have just been like, all right, I know this for myself. This was a sign. I'm good with it. Let me live the rest of my life with Veronica and enjoy that.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate for 2 seconds because I think, going back to when I was just joking about going to the church and confessing to the priest.
Yes.
The act of confessing your sins, quote unquote, there's so many biblical references to that. And God sometimes in the Bible, if I can remember it correctly, in a way, it almost is stated or preached that is what draws you closer to him. When you can be honest about what you're doing, when you can say, I messed up and I need to just clear my conscience of it and I need your forgiveness, or I want your forgiveness so that I can feel good, that I'm not like keeping a secret from you, or I'm hiding something from you that could hurt you later. And I don't know him, right? You're writing in, but maybe that is this concept when people decide to like tell on themselves that is what they're thinking is going to happen. It's like a release. And I think it's also like a reckoning. Like you're trying to reckon with the person that you might have hurt by making the decision that you made. Like you come to God and you like, God, I'm so sorry. I know I said that I was going to pray with you more. I was going to read my Bible with you more. You're going to him asking for like mercy on you. Like really then using the God relationship is a bit of a stretch because realistically, if you're spiritual, you know that God sees all. You don't have to tell him anything. He knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I think that process is almost, like I said, a reckoning, like you want mercy from the person. So maybe when people tell on themselves, quote unquote, that's what they're trying to get. They're trying to reckon with the person that they harm to say, look, I'm telling you because I'm honest. I'm telling you because I want forgiveness. I'm telling you because I want my conscience clear so that we can move forward in a better direction. I don't always think it's the best idea, but I also can understand how it's not the worst idea.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's an internal feeling of something weighing heavy on your heart and on your conscience, right? And you feel bad about it. I think there's also a level of we think that the people that we with want complete honesty.
Yeah.
When in reality, in relationships, most people don't.
No. Most people can't even handle it.
They don't want, I don't need to know how the sausage is made, right? So you don't have to tell me every little detail about how you got to the point that you arrived to. If sleeping with that girl and you realize that wasn't the girl and then you made a commitment to me and asked me to be a girlfriend was how you got to that point, I could probably go without you telling me that you slept with a girl, as long as you're saying at this point, I'm committed. This is what I want. This is who I want to be with. And I realized that even in my relationship, I had to tell Bree at a certain point, like, I can't take all your raw truths, all your raw feelings, all your raw emotions. Go to your therapist, talk to your therapist about all your raw feelings and emotions. Those are your truths. Those are you speaking honestly and openly.
Yeah.
But I can't take all of that. You need to talk through that with your therapist. So then when you have a full thought of how you feel truly about something after you talk through it, work through your feelings, work through your emotions, and then you can give me, all right, this is the outcome. Because things can get lost, feelings can get hurt when you start doing every little truth or talking about every little emotion. It could really affect a relationship. So
yeah. And some people really hang on to the finest of details.
yeah, that's the thing.
Like I've seen guys that like get cheated on, and it's like they find out that she had sex with him, like intercourse, but when he find out that she gave him head, it's like, oh no. It's like that one
Yeah.
finite detail somehow makes that cheating worse. Like she still cheated no matter what actual behavior she did. So sometimes those details are too much. They are a lot, and they just don't make room for recovery. Sometimes, and you know, you got to balance it out. So take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're not saying lie to your partner
No.
or withhold things, anything like that. But just in all parts, from a person who's been in a relationship for now 6 years, complete honesty is not like let me say it, like more raw feelings and emotions, even though you feel like is your truth.
Yeah.
And you being honest and open isn't necessarily what somebody wants when they say they want you to be honest with them.
Yes.
And they want to be able to trust you. They're not saying I need every single thing completely. That's not what they mean by that.
No. It's, you know, as somebody said, you know, you could take me out the group chat on everything. You know, like do that over there. Give me the filtered version of the truth.
Exactly.
Don't lie, but filter your honesty. That's a much better way to put that.
For sure.
To kind of round out this conversation, I feel like, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I got one thing I wanted to talk about too with this that I feel like is a big point, and I dealt with this in college.
Okay.
And I feel like it's kind of a theme of this a little bit is doing relationship things when you're not in a relationship, and how that can really, although on paper you're saying this is what we are, or you can communicate it as much as you want. You could say this is what we are. This is the time that we started dating, but we weren't committed officially, and then this is when I asked you officially. But if you're doing relationship things within that time, and you're making somebody feel like they're the only one, and you're talking to them as if they're the only one, although you can say you can't be mad, I told you, that emotion doesn't change. I tried that in college. Like I got to the point to where I was messing with girls and girls were getting upset, and so I told the one girl, I was like, listen, this is what it is. I ain't looking for nothing serious. I don't really know what I want. I'm chilling. I like you. We can do physical things when you with me. You can always feel special. I'm gonna give you my attention, but I don't really want nothing serious. Told her that. She said, okay. But then we did stuff. I would get her things sometimes, just like thinking of somebody, because I enjoyed the time with her. She would get me things. And then it got to a point to where she got upset that I was talking to this girl, or she saw me interacting with another person. And I was like, we had a conversation about this. We talked about it. And she was like, well, it's just the way things were going. And like, I also thought that like maybe I could change your mind with how we were doing things. And although I could be like, you technically can't be mad at me because we talked about this, my actions with her on a daily basis showed otherwise.
Bingo.
So
actions speak louder than words.
So it's that whole thing is always people get caught up in that so much that
I said
this, but it's like, how are you acting? What are your actions saying? Because that's what people are going to go off. They don't go, like, some people for a little while will stay in a relationship for words, but most people are there based off of how you make them feel.
That's right.
And how you interact with them.
Yeah.
So if your actions are showing exclusivity and showing that I'm special, I'm the one, and then even you're saying things that are saying that, if I feel like I'm on the phone with you all day, all night, you're texting me throughout the day, in my head, I'm thinking there's no other time for anybody else. I talk to
Right.
him all the time. Like, but you, in your mind, you're saying, oh, we're not exclusive.
Yeah.
To me, we are. It seemed like it. It felt like it. It feels like we're trending that direction. The action of going to get tested with me showed me that there's a level of intentionality. You understood what this meant to me. So you saying that we technically aren't together during that time, like you can miss me with
Such a
that.
convenient excuse.
You can miss me with that.
Yeah.
Like what?
Nope. Won't work for me.
So I just think that that's interesting, that theme of like.
And I think that's
acting that
actually
way.
how I learned that remedial communication is sometimes really necessary, because there are like, I don't even know if I'm using this right, but they're like these weird respectability politics that allow you to conveniently decide, well, I said, you know, like, no, you know what? I'm going to break this communication down to like pre-kindergarten level. Like, okay, I don't want to assume that because you went and got tested with me that you feel like we're in a relationship. Are we in a relationship? I'm gonna just fully frame the question that way. Like, are we moving toward exclusivity across all levels? Sexually, romantically, spiritually? Are we like together? Like, when we take these condoms off, does that mean that you are my boyfriend, that you are my man? That might seem like a lot for some people to like just bring the question down to its most finite level. But I'm going to do that because I have been in situations where I'm like, well, it feels like, and it looks like, and I mean, if my cat started barking, wouldn't you look at the cat like, is it a dog? You know, like you would, because of action, you can look at it and see that it's a cat, but it's doing something that the dogs do. So you get confused. Because I've been duped or kind of sent in that tailspin of confusion, I would just strongly suggest that you just like over confirm.
And that's like you said, it comes with experience. Like you have to experience that and understand that, hey, I've seen it happen this way before, and I thought it was something and it wasn't. So now in the future, I have to be more cognizant and more cautious when I'm going into a relationship and communicating what I actually want out of that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually, I'm glad we paused and went back, because that actually perfectly segues into some green flags that you should be looking for when things are headed towards commitment, when things are headed in the direction of exclusivity, because I do not think that it's a good idea to assume that agreeing to only have sex with each other is the best thing to rely on. That's just one piece of it. So I wanted to kind of talk through some green flags when you see like, okay, this is, I feel like we going in that direction. Like this might become my man.
Yeah. This is so interesting to me.
Okay.
Right? Because when people enter into, no, let me say this, is that Brie always says that you always have to find one person, right? You just got to find your person. And the truth is that every person that you date that's not the person that's going to be your husband or long-term partner isn't going to work out. Right. So you got to accept that. So I was saying all that to say is that a lot of times when people are dating, they have such crazy experiences and, you know, experiences that don't seem normal or seem arduous or hard or, you know, not like they envisioned them. So they interpret dating as a whole as just being this difficult process and it being hard to evaluate if somebody really wants to be with you. But when I actually met my wife and somebody who wanted to be with me, it was easy to tell that this person was all in for me. There was not any guessing. There wasn't any like, I wonder if she actually likes. It was easy. We had other things we had to work on, but the actual commitment part to me and exclusive, like that wasn't a question. It wasn't a guess. It wasn't hard. And I think that that's something that people need to keep in mind. If it is a hard thing or you feel like you're guessing or always wondering, like, is this person committed to me or like even in your last relationship with Usain, I'm sure when you were courting, when he was courting you and you were dating, it wasn't hard to know that man wanted to be with you. Nope. It wasn't a question.
It was very obvious.
It was very obvious with the intentionality, how somebody moves, what they say out their mouth, that person wanted to be with you. Yeah. And that's the first thing I'll say to determine if somebody's serious about commitment is that it won't be a thing that you have to search for or really have to figure out or got to phone a friend to determine if
You
this
think
person
that
is
mean that he really like me like that?
when that person is committed to you and wants to be with you, it's very obvious.
Yes.
Very obvious and easy to see. Now, if you want to self-sabotage it because of your past traumas, that's one thing. And you want to pick through every little thing. Maybe he works a lot, didn't answer your call. If you want to pick through it, you can find reasons in anything. But when somebody wants to be with you and is committed to you, it's obvious. Like, it's very easy to see.
Absolutely. That was a perfect setup for the clear communication.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to communicate. I could sit here right now and, just say a bunch of words. That doesn't mean that I'm clearly communicating. I'm communicating in some form or fashion, but if you don't understand it, if you don't comprehend it, if it leaves you confused, then that means it is not clear. That means it's cloudy. That means it's mixed up. That means it's not aligning either with the message you're trying to communicate or it's not aligning with your actions.
Yes.
So clear communication is a green flag of someone that has intention to head towards commitment with you.
I agree.
And I do want to say before we get through this short list is that none of these things should automatically mean you are in an exclusive relationship. You still have to have that conversation to establish that. One, because you need an anniversary date. For the superficial reason, you need to know that we became an item on May 22nd,
For sure.
2020. So that's your day. But also too, like I said, for the purpose of the remedial full-on understanding that I didn't assume we were together because it seemed like we were together. I asked you, you said yes. You asked me, I said yes. So there was an agreement made.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to add one more thing before you go to the next one. And I see this a lot. Don't be afraid to communicate your desires or intentions to somebody because you're scared of what they're going to say. I've been in that situation when I've dated people who I liked, and maybe we had something, maybe it was like we could both feel it, but you're scared to actually fully put yourself out there of what you would want out of this relationship because you're fearful that could possibly scare them off, and then you get nothing.
That's what you want to happen.
That's what you want. That's the appropriate response.
Yes.
That if you want something and they aren't willing to do it, then the relationship ends.
Yes.
But a lot of people are staying in relationships that they're not really getting everything they want out of it just because they want to keep whatever little piece of it that they currently have.
Yeah. I have nothing to add. That is absolutely 1000% true. You want them to leave. If you say, I want a commitment and we've been dating for 6 months and they're like, they just disappear after that. Cool. That they clearly didn't want that. And that is what you want to happen. You don't want to go into a relationship confused. You don't, or them feeling like, I ain't say we was together. You trapped me in this relationship. Nope. I asked you on May 20th and you said yes. So super, super duper clear. The second thing I would say is,
I want to add one more point to that too.
Yeah.
Sorry. One more for clear communication. It's important to communicate clearly to them, but it's also important to accept clear communication back.
Yeah.
Like, don't let somebody mess around, beat around the bush, give you all. Demand a yes or no. I don't want to hear, well, maybe we could be, I'm just playing it out.
Flow, like, you know what I'm saying?
Nah. I'm being clear with you of what I want. I need you to be clear back to me.
Yeah.
It's an easy yes or no. Or if you don't know, that's fine.
I don't know goes in the no bucket.
Then that's a no. That's one thing I read, which I love. They said getting to a certain age, it should be hell yes or no. If it's maybe or, I'm thinking about it, that's a no. It should be hell yes or no. And I told Bree that, and I'm like, we should adopt that in our everyday life. Like, if we want to go out with somebody and somebody's like, you want to come out to this place? And it's like, do we want to go there? No. That should go in the no bucket.
Yep.
If it's not hell yes, we're getting too old. Our time is limited. We work so much. We do so many things. If our friends hit us up and it's Sean and Angela and we like, hell yeah, like, let's do that. We should go. But if it's somebody who hits us up and it's like, nah, or they say you want to go to this place, or even when Bria and I are looking at houses, if we're like, I guess that could work. No,
that's not the
it's
one.
a no. It should be hell yes or no.
I love that.
And
it's hell yes or no.
Right? That's
Yep.
And I think that is the same with the clear communication.
Mm-hmm.
I don't got time for, maybe I'm still trying to figure it. That's a no.
Yeah, it's a no. It's a no stink. Let it go. The second one is quality time.
QT.
Yeah, and I think you can spend a lot of time with someone, but it's not quality. When you think about friends with benefits, sometimes you think about F buddies. You could go on an F buddy marathon, right? If y'all just don't have nothing to do for 2 or 3 days and you just laid up with each other having a bunch of sex, well, you spent a lot of time together.
Mm-hmm.
But it lacked the quality to show you that this is a relationship, that like an actual partnership that is based on more than sex.
Yeah.
So it has to be quality time. What are you doing when you spend time together? Are you always horizontal? Or do you actually talk? Do you actually go and explore things so you can pick each other's brains and see how you react to art or how you react to some sort of adventurous date or talking about a book, which is one of my favorite things to do. Like I love, and that's just not with like guys that I would date. I love doing that with like my girlfriends.
For
like
sure.
if we both read a book and we now set time to like discuss the book. What did you get from chapter 2? I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's all about the quality of the time you spend together.
I agree. That's a great point. One example is that for Mother's Day, shout out to all the mothers out there. I don't know if we did. Yeah, shout out to Mother's Day to all y'all.
Happy Mother's Day.
My wife and I took my mom and her mom to the Anita Baker and Babyface concert here in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
But during that time while they were at the concert, because we got them really good seats and Anita a little expensive, so we decided to drop them off and do our own thing.
Yeah.
Bree and I rode up to Anne Arundel Mall and went to the movies to see like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
We probably spent more time in the movies than driving.
Mm-hmm.
But the quality time that we spent in the car was way better than the movie.
Yeah.
Like on the way there, randomly, I was just like, yo, I put on an rap instrumental, and we were just like freestyling.
Oh
like
my
just
gosh.
we were cracking up, like
I
laughing.
love that.
Like Bree funny because if she get like one rhyme, she can't keep it going because she's so excited she actually did it. Like she actually rhymed. She's like, oh God. But
we in the car, we going far.
She lose it. Like I can't go no more. And we were in the car dying the whole ride, just freestyling. Dumb.
I love that.
But it's like quality time to where the movies, although that people consider that a date or an activity that you're doing together, we're not talking to each other. We're just sitting there for 2.5 hours just watching something.
Yeah.
So I agree with you when you say the quality time is not just time spent, it's actual, it's the time that's spent together, like, what that time is like.
Yes, for sure, for sure. The third one I would say is a respect of time and boundaries. And when I say respect of time, that the person has a concept of how valuable the time is that they spend with you. So not just the quality of what you all do, but the fact that they are gracious and they appreciate that you have set aside this night to date, or that you have set aside so much of your time, especially if you're now dating for months or close to a year before exclusivity. It's like you're calling me every day. Like you're opening your day and closing your day with me. And you also respect the boundaries of whatever I have going on in my life. Like sometimes you're dating and you're a parent, or you both are parents. You respect the fact that I have certain boundaries around when it's bedtime, and between this and this, I spend that time with my kid, and I can't be on the phone with you. You don't make me feel bad that I can't pick up every single phone call. Like you have an understanding that we're working on this together, and you value the time that you spend with me, but you also respect the boundaries of we don't actually fully commingle our lives, which means I have obligations and commitments to other things and other people. Yeah.
The underlining thing for all these things on the list that Rhonda's going to talk about is intentionality, and respect of time and boundaries. I think is a good indication for somebody's ability to adjust when it comes to a relationship. It's like, I am intentional about being with you. I want this to work. So I will then adjust my life and the things I have going on to compensate or to, incorporate the things that you have going on.
Yeah.
So yes, another green flag for commitment.
Yes. The next one I would say is
like this little tag team.
Inclusion. We be doing this, you know what I'm saying? Is inclusion. And I love this one because
huge.
when you think about dating somebody, it's a lot of one-on-one time. It's a heavy lift usually on the one-on-one time. But when things start moving into the direction of like you inviting me to hang out with you and your friends, especially your friends that are in relationships. Like if you and I are dating, but you're setting up dates with like your married friends, in my mind, I'm like, ooh, this might, ooh. Now listen, again, these are green flags.
Yes.
These are not guarantees because
Yes.
people will sometimes take you around their friends and family and they don't have intention for the relationship.
Very true.
But this is a good sign. If at some point he's like, I would really like for you to meet my sister. And then all the time you've been getting to know him, you know that him and his sister are like best friends. You know that he values her opinion and on a bunch of stuff. He values her opinion about a job that he just got a couple years ago.
Yep.
They were the best of buds and he shows you pictures like, man, this is my little sister, this is my big sister. Like,
sure.
If he's saying at some point now, I want you to meet this person, again, really great green flag.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I could speak, especially when it comes to like a relationship and you meet different people out, how bad it can go and how well it can go. Just the simple thing of introducing your person when they're in a new environment. Like if you meet a friend or meet somebody, maybe it's an old person from high school or old principal or somebody you used to play sports with, and they see you like, oh, what's good, bro? Like, how you going? How you doing? Hey, I want to introduce you to my wife. Or I want to introduce you to my girlfriend, Veronica. Veronica, this is, well, so-and-so, we used to do whatever back in the day, versus you have that conversation and don't introduce her at all. Like that lack of inclusion hurts. And it's like, yo, I was standing right here. You act like I wasn't even here.
Yeah.
Or if you say like, this is my friend, or like that you telling people that you and I are associated and that we're together.
Yeah.
That means something.
It does. It absolutely does. I know y'all love to hate Steve Harvey for giving relationship advice. I'm just not one of those people. But one of the things that he said in his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, was that profession is really important. How a person introduces you, it matters.
Yeah.
Especially if you all have gone into the direction of exclusivity. You two have had that conversation, but he doesn't actually assign, or she doesn't assign that title to you when you're introduced to other people.
Yeah. That
is a red flag. A green flag is exactly what you just said. That this is my girl, this is my guy, this is my boyfriend. That's really important.
And I'll say, which goes into the last point. When I first met Bree, my stepdad said he knew early on that was going to be somebody that I was going to be with for a while because of the level of intentionality that I took with her. But when you talk about inclusion, it was me including her in what I was going to do in my future. So it's like, as I was making decisions, I was thinking about how that affected both of us in that decision. When I asked her to move in with me and we did different things, I started the business and I paid off this thing that was a debt thing for her and did this, it was all in the thought process of her being included in my life moving forward.
That's right.
So that inclusion, that's what Rhonda means, not only in just the physical settings when you're around people, but also the inclusion in plans and things that you're talking about. And that flows right into the last thing that Rhonda was going to say for a green flag.
Yeah, it's consideration and thoughtfulness. Absolutely. Considering the future plans, just considering, again, what you may deal with every day in life. Like, nothing makes me smile sometimes more when I have been in relationships or working towards them is someone who listens to me or pays attention so that they can consider what I might need at this time. I remember I started a new job and my ex, like, I had you always feel a little nervous when you start a new job. You don't know how things are going to go. You don't know how your office might be set up or the space might be set up. And he got me this little bag of just stuff that I might need at work. It included like a little first aid kit. I pull long hours, so it was like a little toothbrush in there just in case like I needed to freshen up. I am in a lot of meetings. It had a little travel size deodorant. It was hand wipes. It was mints. It was just like the sweetest little gift. And literally some of that stuff I still have at my office today. And every time I look at it, I'm like, this was purchased with so much consideration for not only what I do, but I'm going into a new environment and like I needed to kind of be equipped with all these cute little things to make my life a bit easier at my job. So that was just so thoughtful. I love thoughtfulness. And I think when you're always thinking about your person, what they could use, what they could need, if it's a call, if it's a text, if it's a pop-up, if it's a whatever, considering me and all the things that you do really makes me feel like you're intentional about wanting to be with me.
And that's the underlying thing, intentionality.
Yeah.
It's somebody being intentional with the time that they spend with you and how they communicate with you, how they include you in things when they're thinking about you. It's just all intentional ways of moving.
Yeah.
And like I said, that should be easy to see.
Yeah.
It should not be a very difficult thing to where you get, if you have to guess if somebody's moving intentionally with you, they're probably not moving intentionally with you.
Yeah.
Because
it's not a hell yes.
It's not a hell yes. It's very easy to see and very easy to spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have to answer Veronica's question.
Yes.
So she's very upset at her boyfriend for doing this. And she wants to know if she is overreacting because it feels like she's kind of trying to reconsider, like, should she continue on in this situation? They've been dating for less than a year and they've only been exclusive for 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you think she's overreacting for wanting to walk away from this relationship?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I don't think it's an overreaction because I think when that initial thing hits you, it's tough. Like, it's not, overreaction is all based off of what your expectations were for whatever you were doing. So it's like, if you expected something to be a certain way and it's not the way that you expected it to be, you being upset or angry or feeling some type of way about that is just a normal reaction. It's not an overreaction. It's a normal reaction. That's not what you thought it was. And especially when it comes to the world of love and feelings and emotions, like, it's different if you go to a grocery store and you expect something to be one price and then it's a different price. You ain't really attached to that. It may make you like annoyed that maybe you drove there for that, but it's like, all right, whatever. Either you may just buy it or you may not. But when it comes to feelings, emotions, somebody you're sleeping with, like, when that expectation isn't met or the expectation that you had, the reality is something different, that hurts a lot more. And I think that over time you'll start to digest, kind of figure it out, and you'll start to place your emotions and feelings in the right spaces. And then you'll be able to get to a logical place to where you could probably push through this. Now, what will end up happening and what you should do, I think all comes down to a conversation with the person. I can't tell you should do this or you shouldn't do that, because in his mind, it's funny, if anybody watches Friends, the whole we were on a break thing, it's like we weren't official at that moment. So he may now, like I said, that feeling or that reaction or whatever he did with that person may have prompted him to want to be with you exclusively. So you need to talk through that with him, because I'm not saying that he's a bad guy for doing that. Maybe a great guy that truly wants to be with you, and you just have to get over that what you thought was the reality wasn't the reality.
That's right.
Not necessarily that he did something wrong per se, but that he just didn't meet your expectation.
That's right.
And we talk about this a long time for a lot of different episodes, is that there are foundational things in relationships that probably every single person who's in a relationship would say that they want out of a relationship. But then everything outside of that, it's all based on the parameters that you guys set up in a relationship. It's not that that person, if they did in another situation, would be wrong or right. It's just what works for you guys and what you guys agreed upon.
That's it.
So it's all about you having a conversation with each other to decide, all right, this is what happened. This is how I want things to move forward. You didn't meet the expectations that I had, but I still want to make this work. What is your expectation moving forward? And as Rhonda said, you need to have clear communication about what the situation actually is and what exclusivity means to you, what that looks like. And then you guys hopefully can get on the same page.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I only have one short thing to add to that, and that is just what I would like to call a real lover pro tip, because we'll drop some of those. We already dropped them, but is don't let your assumptions become uncommunicated expectations. You need to be remedial. Again, I think I've said that 3 or 4 times now in this episode. Do not let what you assume to be happening become expectation that you never communicated. I understand what you just said. I understand that, yes, based on certain behaviors or certain actions, you assumed something was happening, but there was no communication, clear communication on the expectations. Your expectations have to be communicated and agreed upon so that when there is a violation of said expectation, you can clearly go back on, we communicated about this. We talked about this. So there was no reason for you to say, well, we weren't, or I wasn't, or da 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 da. Like, some of these things will be learning experiences, right? You will develop an expectation by way of learning something. But then there are other baseline expectations that you cannot meet a new person and assume that they know those expectations, because maybe they only been in one relationship before. And in that one, it ran that way. Maybe they've never been in a relationship before. So they have no idea what you expect from a loyalty perspective, from a any perspective, from how you expect to run your household financially. They should expect to know that you want kids if you don't have them. No, you got to communicate that, because some people don't have children and don't want children. At 25, they know that. At 36, they know that. So don't live in the gray area of assumptions on either side. Communicate what you expect so that you both can be on the same page about your agreements and the terms of your partnership.
I agree, because the clear communication works for people not understanding exactly what you want. That's one reason. But the other reason is that some people know exactly what you want, but the absence of clear communication gives them an out.
That bang, as Jada Pinkett Smith says, I know another person y'all don't like. That part.
Like, they want they want it not to be clear. They want the lack of clarity, because that gives them an out to do kind of what they want to do.
That's right.
I remember even at high school one time, like, I was with my ex-girlfriend or the girlfriend at the time, and I went over her house. And the way that I communicated to my mom about what I doing was in a way that technically I wasn't violating, or I didn't lie, or I didn't say what I wasn't doing. So my mom, I remember I went over to the girl's house, and my mom called me. She was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, there's a game at Bowie High School today." And she was like, "Oh, like, is Deanna," that was her, I think that was her name, was she dancing there? And I was like, "Oh, no, she's not dancing there. There's just a game today, so thought it, would be cool to come to Bowie." So she was like, "Oh, okay, just let me know when you leave." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Didn't lie. There was a game.
There was a game.
I did go to Bowie, but I was not at that game.
Nope.
So it's like I was purposely unclear and unspecific in my communication to leave it out for me, that just in case I got caught, I could say, I never said I was at the game.
I just said that there was a game.
But what we all know is that ain't gonna fly.
No.
Right? That ain't gonna fly.
Like, boy, stop. That was a smoke and mirrors, and I don't like it.
But the thing is that if you are more clear with the communication, then that just leaves that out. That's all I'm saying, is that if you say, maybe you said to the guy is that, maybe he said to you something like, "Okay, yes, I'm fine with, cutting off the other girl. I'm not sleeping with her no more. I'll do this so that we can have unprotected sex." And in your head, you thought that she was probably the only girl. So you accepted him cutting the other girl off as him not having sex with anybody else.
That's right.
But maybe he didn't say he wasn't having sex with anybody else. He just said he wasn't having sex with the other girl anymore. So that clear communication, like understanding what is being said,
break it down,
and breaking it down. That's why contracts exist in business.
That's right.
Write it all
single
out.
term is
Every
laid
single term
out
is laid
for
out
a reason
in writing, because people try to get over based off of words and to leave themselves out. And some people don't like clear communication because it means they're not accountable for something specific.
Some people love the gray area.
They love it.
They love the gray area. I'm not into it. I like clarity. I like clarity for sure.
So just beware for that. That's all I wanted to say. Beware of, like Rhonda said, people will want that just because they don't know what's actually happening. So you being clear is letting them know. But some people are purposely not trying to get the clarity and clear communication.
For sure. Well, Veronica, I hope we were able to help you. I think our gentle advice is just to reopen the lines of communication.
Yes.
I don't think either of us think it's worthy of a breakup, but I think it is certainly worthy of some better definition around exactly what you guys are doing and what you expect. But if you have a real love scenario and you want to write in, go to the website, relationshiprestore.com. Y'all know I'm happy when I start saying all the words. Click the contact. You can write into our show or For the Girls. Just so y'all know, we are on the Relationship Restored Network.
Yes.
The name of this podcast is Real Love Scenario, though.
Yes.
This is not called the Relationship Restored Podcast, okay?
No. I know some people get confused.
They get a little confused. But you can also follow me on social media at Ronnie Cakes.
It's Dre Smith.
And please follow the page at Relationship Restored. Don't forget to leave a review. If you haven't done it, right after this episode goes off, go ahead on over to Apple and leave us a review. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.